everybody. Salvador asked me to share my testimony, and because my testimony is very long and complicated, I wanted to do it on video instead of all that typing. I thought it might be easier for you guys to follow. So, anyway, I have a rare bowel disorder. Dr. Fussler, he's a large part of my testimony. You'll be hearing a lot about him. He told me that it's extremely rare. There's not even 100 people in the world with it. They didn't even really have a name for it until the early 2000s. It's pseudo-obstruction intestinalis. My original diagnosis in 1987 was extraordinary toxic megacolon, which basically means my intestine was freakishly huge. It was probably just stretched out from all the bowel obstructions that I had as a teenager and I didn't get treated for. The bowel distends because visceral neuropathy is another word for it. It's where the nerves from the esophagus all the way down to the rectum go like this, push everything through. And for some reason, mine are paralyzed. They just stop. And it causes the bowel to, expand, distend, and it causes a bowel obstruction. Now, a bowel obstruction left untreated is always fatal. Always. Dr. Fussler said it is a miracle that I made it through my teen years. This would happen every other month. I remember, it was every other month. I would know that this was going to happen. And I came from a very screwed up family. My family is just really, they're a bunch of sociopaths. And my dad had a rule. If you could hold your head up, you could go to school. And that was just because I think my parents just didn't want to deal with us. We were the state's problem from 8 to 4. So anyway, my dad would make me go to school with a bowel obstruction. And this happened numerous times. My first bowel obstruction that I remember, and I know what it was Easter Sunday, 1980. I was 12 years old. And I remember laying on the floor between the coffee table and the TV, and Dad was watching 60 Minutes, and he told me you're probably just getting your time of the month. And I said, Dad, I don't have a time of the month. I didn't have a period yet. And he said, Andy Rooney's getting ready to come on. You're screaming too loud. Go upstairs. So I went up to my room, and my stepmom came up and would make me eat like a half a box of X-Lax. And, I did that many times. But my first surgery was in September 5th, 1984. It was my dad's birthday. And a lot of this is coming back because my dad just died. And I think a lot of the memories are coming back. And I'm really having a hard time with forgiveness and everything right now. But the only reason I got medical care then was because I was 8 months pregnant. I was 17. And they thought I was having a baby. They just left me there for 2 days. I laid on the couch while my dad, sister, stepmom, and stepsister sat there watching the Jerry Lewis Labor Day telethon, and I was vomiting up stool right in front of them, and they refused to take me to the hospital. My Aunt Karen, she was my dad's sister-in-law, something told her that morning when she was driving through town, she got a feeling she needed to go to Butch's. She didn't know why. Told my cousin Debbie, let's go to Butch's. She goes in, long story short, she finds me laying like this, and she's like, what are you guys doing? Why isn't this child in the hospital? So anyway, she took me to the hospital, and Dad came to the hospital and yelled at me because it was costing him money, and he left. He was a truck driver, and he just took off to Chicago and left me laying there. He didn't sign papers or anything. So the Indiana Highway Patrol had to hunt him down, and the next day was his birthday. And then, I had to lay in the hospital all that time waiting for him to come back so they could operate. And Uh, by the end, my bowel had ruptured. I was seeing cockroaches crawling on the walls. I mean, the nurse tied a towel around my head because I was just bashing my face into the railings of the bed because it was just, anything was better than, what I was going through. Thank God my baby was born 5 weeks later, nearly 8 pounds. It was so cool. I was so proud because doctors, radiologists, everybody all over that hospital was coming up to see Clinton Memorial's little miracle baby. I was so proud. Anyway, we didn't know that that was just a prelude of things to come. When I was 19, I had another bowel surgery, and it was the same surgeon from 1984. And he told me, he said, look, I'm a small town doctor. It's in Wilmington, Ohio. He said, I don't see this. You need to go to Columbus where they could treat you better. So he sent me to Ohio State. And the surgeon up there, Richard Schlanger, he is still the director of oncology up in Columbus. Chief of staff at Ohio University East. He operated on me, did my first bowel resection where he removed my large intestine, St. Patrick's Day, 1987. Well, this is really weird. I end up back in surgery on Thanksgiving Day, 1987. Okay. And this, again, is just a testament to God's power. And he came out of the operating room and he told my dad, he said, nothing could have prepared me. I've been a doctor for 17 years. Nothing could have prepared me for what we found. And my dad said, what'd you find? And he said that he got to looking around. We want to see what else is wrong with this kid because my digestive system was just deformed. Okay. And he got to looking around. And there in my left butt cheek was my left kidney. He thought, she have 3 kidneys? Well, no. My left kidney was laying unattached in my butt cheek. I'm 20 years old. He said they took it out, held it up to the light, and they weighed it, and they attached it and held their breath. Perfect blood flow. Perfect little pristine kidney just waiting to be found. Now, how it was a functioning kidney, again, only God could have done that, okay? Well, anyway, he attached it, and he told me later, he said, if you live to be the age 50, which, he went like that, because we all didn't, nobody expected me to make it that long, okay? I knew that from March. I figured out that the sand was very thin under my feet. I knew that. But anyway, he said, you're in your early 50s, you will start going into kidney failure because your poor right kidney has been doing all the work. Well, when I was 52, I was diagnosed with kidney failure in my right kidney. But anyway, the years had gone by. 1988, Thanksgiving of 1988, I had a boyfriend up in Lima, Ohio, and I was friends with his sister, and I went up there to visit them. Well, I decided to go to church. Never been to church up there. Nobody knew me. Never. The preacher had no idea who I was. You cannot tell by looking at me that I was sick. And, at the end of church services, they'll have the hymn of invitation. And we were having that. He's calling people up to the altar. And he stopped and said, you. Turned around at me. He said, yeah, you in the purple shirt. God just told me that he chose you for a very special purpose. And he said, but you've known that in your heart for a long time, haven't you? And I said, yes. And he said, God just told me the next 3 and 4 years, you are going to have to fight for your life like you have never fought in life. But he's going to get you through it. Keep your faith and don't give up because he is going to be with you every step of the way. And he has chosen you to do something really beautiful and wonderful for him. So just keep your faith. And I honestly think that's what got me through. Sure enough, that was 1988. 1991, things started really, really getting bad. And I was put under the care of a gastroenterologist named Stephen Fessler. And this man would have, him and my surgeon in Columbus would have more impact on me than any man in my life ever would. Dr. Fessler was with me from the beginning, and he's the one that gave me the name Hooligan. He like my last name's Hooley. So he thought it was me, haha. He called me Hooligan. Well, his partners in his absence over the years, they started calling me Hooligan. Then my family and friends, and so I am the Hooligan. I was christened by him, and I'm proud of that. But anyway, in 1992, they had to give me a third bowel resection. And it was at Bethesda North. I lived in Cincinnati, so why go all the way to Columbus? Dr. Fessler referred me to the chief of surgery at Bethesda North Hospital. The man butchered me. Where he connected the small bowel down to the rectum, it wasn't getting enough blood supply, and my rectum was literally rotting. So for 7 weeks, I had peritonitis, which will kill you in 2 days. Okay, I had peritonitis for 7 weeks. I went from 127 pounds to 91 pounds. This surgeon would not, he just punched me in the arm and said, Hooley, walk it off. Stop being squeamish. Well, finally on New Year's Eve, my boyfriend, long story short, walks in the kitchen, finds me laying there, half dead. And I remember I was laying there in a pool of pickle juice and vomit. And I'm laying there, and I looked up at him, and I said, I'm dying. And he wrapped me in a blanket, and he carried me into the surgeon's office. And he came out from the back, and the receptionist was like, oh, my God, I don't know what to do. And my boyfriend looked at him and said, now, you son of a, you tell her to walk this off. I was very angry. I was immediately hospitalized on the surgical floor. And a lot of people don't know this, but I'm going to go ahead and share it because it has a lot to do with my walk with God. I ended up on New Year's Eve getting an ostomy. Yeah, everybody knows what a colostomy is. But I had an ileostomy, which is hooked up to the ileum, the lower part of the small bowel. And before I went to surgery, I was mad. I remember the hospital chaplain, Randy Fannin, came into my room, and I told him, no, I don't want to worship your God. I don't want to worship that kind of God. I had no way of knowing Ted Bundy or Charles Manson's medical history, but I was like, why are they the picture of health? As evil as they are, what did I do? Who's going to tell my babies, my 2 beautiful babies, who's going to tell them that mommy's never coming home? And Randy said, well, sometimes God gives us challenges, so we rely on him. I said, oh, yeah, God's been a real prince to me. That's good. Torture somebody. Be a sadist until they cry uncle. Oh, yeah, that's love, Randy. I don't want no part of it. Well, I went into surgery, and, on New Year's Eve, I woke up at 7 p.m., and I heard the surgeon on the other side of the curtain. He was talking to my mom and my boyfriend, and he said, go spend as much time with her as you can, because in all probability, she will not bring in the new year. And I thought, well, okay, I got 4 hours left, you life-sucking quack. Thanks for nothing. And I made it through the night. The next morning, 6 a.m., the nurse, oh, we made it through the night. And I'm like, yeah, yippee, good. Well, the surgeon came in, and we were alone. And I told him, you did this to me. Nobody would have expected me to come out of that operating room alive yesterday. Nobody, not you, not my family. You could have done the humane thing. And you know what I'm saying. I said, you could have done the humane thing and nobody would have had to have known. It would have been between you and God. But you made me live like this. I will never forgive you for making me live. Damn you for making me live. I was angry. Oh, I was angry, and I was angry at God. Why wouldn't he tell me what I had done wrong? Well, I laid in ICU. I was in there for 6 days, and on January 4th, there was, all over the news, there was a convicted child killer being executed in Washington State. His name was Wesley Allen Dodd, and he had found Christianity. I believe his conversion was real because he threatened to sue any lawyer who fought and appealed his death sentence. He said he deserved to die. He chose to be hung because that's how he killed his last victim. And he said he didn't deserve any better than that 4-year-old baby got. But I remember he was being interviewed by James Dobson, and he looked into the camera and he said, I could think of a lot of people that I would give my life for, but I cannot think of one single person I would give the life of my only son for. That's how much God loves us. That's how much God loves me and you. And I'm laying there in that hospital bed, and I said out loud, whoa, that is heavy. God, I want this. God, I want this. I want your love. I want that relationship. And I laid there and I gave my life to the Lord because of the last words, the last interview of a convicted serial killer. And I'd like to think someday, maybe in glory, maybe I'll run into him. I'd like that, be able to tell him it was because of you. Thus began my walk with God, my search for God. My mother's family was Pentecostal. My dad's family was Amish. Grandpa was excommunicated for marrying a divorced woman. They became Jehovah's Witnesses in their 50s. So I had a lot of witnesses in my family, but I was going to the Pentecostal church too. So, I had a lot of mixed feelings and mixed teachings about God. I was very confused. I felt that, the Bible says no one is worthy, no, not one. And all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Be ye therefore perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. I think that's in Matthew. So, I would hear this and I would think, well, there's no way I could be perfect. So how could God possibly love me? How? And I was just really, really confused. And I was for many, many years. And it's still kind of a hard concept for me, But anyway, I'm going to stop this for today. And I'm going to finish this later. I don't know if I'll do the first and second part. I'll, download them and put them. I may do this first and then let y'all hear this and then do the other one. But anyway, I will be back with y'all. Thank you for listening to me. I love y'all. Salvador, I hope I do you proud. I hope I'm doing okay here. But anyway, like I said, my testimony's long. There's more to come. I love y'all. God bless you. Bye-bye.